Welcome to Uncontainable by me, Lou Hutchinson. I'm here joined today with my parents, the two people that I wouldn't be here without that have taught me everything I know on and off the court, have made me into the person that I am. Mom, Dad, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing wonderful.
So, when you go back to that time of when I broke my arm, right? And just walk me through what it was like for you guys when you became aware of the news, what was going through your heads, and what the process was like going into the next steps after hearing that news.
I was driving down 301 and I received a call from your coach, Coach McAloon, for IMG's national team. I could tell something was wrong. He told me that you were in a freak accident during practice and that you had broken your arm, that the bones had come out of your skin, and that the trainer was able to stabilize the bones back in your skin, and that there was blood, and that the ambulance was on its way. I then called your mom. I called your sister. Coach McAloon conferenced in one of the nurses that was going to be with you, and we immediately collectively started to go into action to understand, what was going to happen once you had gotten to the hospital. We assumed that there was going to be surgery immediately. And your mom, there were logistics that we had to deal with. Your mom had to get airline tickets very quickly. We had to get back and pack and get to the airport. And it was just about uh, thinking about God and trying to be strong and trying to keep our peace as everything went into action. Let me pass it over to you, mom.
So your dad explained what happened when we got the call, when he got the call originally, and then conferenced in. We started to immediately work on logistics, figuring out what next flight we were going to be able to get on. What was the flight that we were going to be able to get on? So got that into play. Got home, packed, headed to the airport, and we were under the impression that, as he stated, you were gonna be in surgery while we were literally in the air, and because of that, your sister was going to be in touch with the nurse, keeping abreast as we were actually on the plane. We actually got to the hospital, and it was determined that they weren't gonna do the surgery that day. They were going to do the surgery the next morning, and so when you get a call like that, we are praying people. So through getting the logistics worked out of actually getting to you, we were praying throughout that time and trying to keep our peace and trying not to succumb to, our humanly flesh to worry, but to pray. And we were focused on getting to you as quickly as we possibly could. So it was a trying time. It was a scary time. But we were able to maintain a certain level of peace, um, because I just believe the Holy Spirit helped us to do that.
So from there, fast forward, right? I have the surgery the next day after you guys get there. Um, it was originally we were told it would be about a 3 hour procedure, ends up being a 5 hour procedure. I come out of the operation room. I'm in my bed. I'm not talking. We have to prepare to figure out what the next steps are going to be. What's going to be the case with me going back to school? Thanksgiving's coming up. Am I going to come home? Am I going to stay home for a while? What's going on and all of that? As we were figuring all of that out, what kept you guys grounded, and how did you guys really just go about it and figure out what the next steps were going to be in terms of dealing with this whole situation?
First of all, one of the things that can't be missed was this was going on smack dab in the middle of COVID. So none of the normal protocols in the hospital in terms of going in and out, dealing with you, seeing you at school, there was nothing normal about it. And there was a 5.5 hour surgery where when you speak to the doctor, the recovery is going to be at least 6 to 8 months in their minds. I knew how hard you had worked and the effort that you had put in and the extra work, which is hard to say at IMG because you're already tremendously pushed to get to the point that you were. And I remember just your mom was right there. You were in a tremendous amount of pain with all the painkillers and everything that you were dealing with. And we were just throughout, we were praying. We didn't leave your side. We spent the night and were with you at the hospital through the whole time, all the way through the transition back to the house. And I just remember saying to you, in the name of Jesus, that you are going to come back better than you would have otherwise been, that it is not up to the doctors or anyone else, that it is up to your faith. You know the faith of our family, and it's up to your faith and your belief. And trust me, you will be back stronger, faster, much faster than they're saying that you were going to be back. And just comforting you, you were not speaking. It wasn't an issue of shock. I think it was an issue of you were upset. All that you had worked for had suddenly stopped.
Well, to add to that, yes, you actually didn't speak for 3 days. So 3 days, there were no words spoken. And so I remember being by your bedside, even the night that we arrived, and you had to go through the night. They were trying to keep you comfortable, of course, giving you pain medication. The arm was wrapped up, and then the next morning they came, got you for surgery. The surgery was long.
Hour and a half hours.
Yes, and we waited and prayed, and we waited and we prayed. I can say the hospital staff was exceptional. The doctor was exceptional. Um, they made us comfortable. They gave us no pushback to stay with you by your side. And so we were very appreciative of that because it was COVID and we did have to take special precautions. Um, so I, I just know that God carried you and carried us through that time. And without Him, we wouldn't have been able to make it. You would not have been able to return the way in which you did, but God. And so I thank God for all that He has done and is doing um, since that time, during that time. And I thank Him for holding us in the palm of His hands because it was a traumatic time. But it is because of Him that we were able to be there for you and get through.
Through it all, your sister, she stepped up. When we had to get on that flight, not knowing if you were going to be in surgery or not, she was in school at Fordham in the ALE program, dealing with her own injuries up there. And she was talking constantly to the nurse that was with you from IMG and guiding, and she had decision-making authority for you while we were there. And she, because of COVID, could not even fly down to Florida because she was all the way up in New York. So it was quite a bit going on, and it was all we had. When you're in a situation like that, son, all we had was our faith. All we had was Jesus, and it was no longer theoretical. We were faced with it and dependent on it, and it carried us.
Going on from there, right? I was in a situation. I go into rehab. I go into leave. One, just figuring out what school is going to look like for me for the rest of the year. How we're going to deal with that. Went home, dealing with rehab, just trying to do little things every day. Trying to just strengthen the arm and keep me moving it. And then ultimately making the decision to have me go back to school to do all of my recovery just because of the facilities and the capability that IMG had to give me the best chance to get back. What was it like for you guys, right? Mentally, not when I came home, but when I had to go back while still dealing with the injury, dealing with all of this, and then trying to integrate back into what my life was like away from home.
When you left, you had to leave to go back, knowing that when we could not come and visit you because of the protocols at IMG, knowing that there was going to be dependence on nurses and for your doctor's visits and for the rehab, seeing you telling your thumb to move and not being able to fire your thumb or not being able to close your hand. Again, I remember deciding to do a 40-day fast. You were in the state that you were in. Your sister, who was a dancer with Ailey, had broken her sesamoid bone or her toe. All of this happening all at the same time. And they said 6 to 8 months. And I said to you, son, you'll be back in 8 to 10 weeks. They do not know the level of tenacity and the toughness that you have, but they're going to find out now. And you will come back better than you otherwise would have been. And I remember fasting on water and tea and praying and reading the gospel and praying. And I saw God work through you through that. The folks at the Gatorade Science Center they said, we've never seen someone work this hard. We've never seen someone move to recover from such a traumatic injury this fast. We have athletes that come here from all around the world. In 8 weeks, it was a 40-day fast. I know I lost a lot of weight. It was not easy. In 8 weeks, you had a special cast on and you were back at practice.
So, what a time to remember. You know, it was one thing for you to be home and for us to actually care for you ourselves and to ensure that you were, getting everything that you needed because we were physically there to provide it. It's a whole nother thing when we had to make the decision to have you do the recovery away from us. But after praying about it and really talking through it, it made the most sense. And the good thing is that when we made that decision, we immediately moved to make sure you had every resource that you needed and that was available to you to go hand in hand with the work that you were going to do to get back. And so we coordinated. We coordinated with the team at Johns Hopkins that was on campus. We made sure that when you were scheduled to go to your doctor's visits, those were about an hour away. So they actually had to drive you, be there with you in the doctor's office. We made sure that we were on the line and we FaceTimed in for those appointments. We coordinated with made sure your teachers, well, of course, your teachers found out and knew that this was going on. But we worked with them and made sure they sent all your assignments so that as much as possible you could stay on track. You worked hard and you still did well in school. You worked hard. I mean, you worked. And so not only were you working to get back physically, you worked hard in the classroom. You knocked it out of the park from a grading standpoint. I'll never forget the big project you did in, I think it was the English class, the Hugo project. It was a major project, and you worked and you worked, and it was so well done. And in fact, your teacher, I know you got an A. I think you got like a 98 on the project. And it was a group project, but you had to do yours, by yourself. So that was just an example of just your work ethic, and your dedication and focus to work and get back. And you encouraged us, and from a mental standpoint, it was encouraging and very fruitful to see that in you. So we had no problem doing all that we could do to ensure that we supported you in getting back to 100%. So it was a tough time. It was a trying time, but you really helped us help you, and we're thankful that God answered prayer, and that, as Dad previously said, you came back stronger and better than you were before.
We also coordinated with, remember, we coordinated with UJ. I mean, you were doing all your rehab. You were dealing with, the strength and conditioning coach at Alabama now, that was there with you on the team at IMG. He created a whole special workout to work out every other part of your body during that period. You were dealing with sports psychologists. You were dealing with every single thing that you could. And think about it. You had a 3.8 GPA with AP and honors courses in the midst of pain, in the midst of perseverance, which you had to go through mentally. I mean, everything that had been poured into you, it was clear. You were one tough cookie, no question about it.
So, as you guys kind of spoke on, going through that adversity, getting to that 8-10 week mark, being able to get back on the court and just putting all that work in, right? It wasn't just me, it was a team effort. And you guys are such a huge part of that. And even, those short times or those times when I did get the opportunity to see y'all, I know for me it meant a lot, and I know for y'all it meant a lot. Even when it was Christmas and we were stuck on campus because I had teammates that caught COVID, and there was only an allotted amount of time that I could come and see y'all off campus in a hotel. Going through all these hardships throughout the year as the season went on, and I'm dealing with the day in, day out, and you guys are doing everything that you can to make sure that I stay positive and I stay up as I go through it. We get to the end of the race physically. It's 16 weeks to the day since I had my surgery. My surgery was November 10th. My last appointment with the doctor to see where I was at was March 10th.
Wow, you remember that.
And going on from there now, it's a different type of comeback. It's a different type of recovery. Now I'm 100%, but the next step is, okay, now it's time to do everything that you can on the court without any restriction. Now it's time for you to go and have that opportunity to build back up and be better than you would have otherwise been. As we got to that point, how hard was that? What did it look like to you guys as you saw me working, you saw me going through it, pushing through, pushing my body, even, you know, to the point where I might have been pushing more at that time than I ever had when it came to basketball, just to get back to where I felt comfortable in my game.
Prior to that, your sophomore year going into your junior year, you were being approached by Power Five schools in most of the top conferences. You had received offers. It went from Power Five schools and offers all over the place and interest all over the place to the team that ended up being 2 in the country that year, to folks wondering whether or not you could use your left arm. I was very concerned with making sure I knew who you were, and I knew how you would come back, and I knew that you were definitely stronger actually than prior to that in many areas. But the mental aspect of putting pressure on yourself, because now it went from being a top prospect to wondering and questioning, and an over examination of just the ability to be as ambidextrous as you were on the court prior, currently, and I saw that. And as a parent, my antenna did go up as related to that, but I never doubted you. I never doubted you. I just prayed that the opportunity that you had prior to that would be without prejudice going forward. So if there was anything that I was concerned about at that point, it was that. I know who you are. I know, regardless of the obstacle, that it was more time that you needed to fully come back from a mental standpoint.
So for me, I have said to you most of your life, the best is yet to come. I often would um, write things. Your dad would write things to you to encourage you and to let you know that we're with you and we stand behind you and we stand with you. And I always say, the best is yet to come. And I still believe that. And even as you reach different milestones and you continue to improve and continue to excel, and you continue to reach different milestones and overcome different things that you were working toward or working through, um, that mindset of the best is yet to come was existent then and still exists now. And so the worth ethic has never changed. The worth ethic is one of the things that help you to overcome such a tremendous injury and get back to where you got to and now where you are. And so the physical aspects of what you were working toward, that's come full circle 100%, 1000%. The mental part of what you had to work through, though, that's the part we can't see. And that's the part that you often have to figure out and don't realize all that you're going through when you're in it. Sometimes you know that it's not quite right or it doesn't quite feel the same, but you don't always know how to put your finger on what it is. And so I am just so incredibly proud of you for all that you've gone through, all that you've come through, all that you've overcome to arrive at this place where you're talking about something that is so critical for yourself and for so many others like you. The mental aspect of dealing with an injury. It's so important. And I'm just a proud mama when it comes to thinking about what you're doing and talking about it, to give people space, to let them know that they're not alone, to let them know that there's help available, to let them know they can get to the other side of whatever they're going through. So keep going, keep pushing, and the best is yet to come.
I think for me in that process on the way back, um, just going into that summer, right? I had something to prove, not to others, but to myself, that even despite this, I'm gonna come back. And I think one thing that I remembered, one thing that stuck with me is a saying that you always told me, Dad, which is, without confidence, you're twice removed from the game of life, but with confidence, you've already won before you started. And as I went back into those places and those spaces of going and playing and working out to the best of my ability and fully and pushing myself to just continue to be better and better and better and better, I found myself fighting to find my confidence again. And that one statement stuck with me through all of that, all the way through the summer, all the way up to going to Lou High, all the way up to going into that next transition and that next place, and just preparing to go somewhere that a lot of people didn't think I could go after what had happened. Being in a situation where people are wondering if I'm ever going to use my arm ever again, to going and being in a position where I'm going to play Division I basketball at University of Rhode Island my freshman, which is crazy. In a year and a half, I went from being in a situation where I'm laying on the ground, blood pouring out of my arm, having to have a trainer rush over because if he doesn't come over too fast and patch me up just so that I can be transported to the hospital, I might bleed out and we don't know what will happen. All the way to being the first freshman recruit of Archie Miller at his new school, at his new job. So in my eyes, that whole journey, that whole process, was it hard? Yes. But if anything, that might have prepared me more for life than just about anything ever has. I think that time is when I really proved to myself that I was uncontainable. So going through all of that, what does it mean to you to be uncontainable?
To be uncontainable is more than just having mental fortitude or toughness or physical strength or toughness or skills or resilience. When I think about uncontainable, I think that he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of his peace was upon us, and by his stripes, by his sacrifice, we're healed. That nothing is impossible. There is a spiritual component to uncontainable. And to me, son, through this journey, for you, there was the realization that what rests inside of you, what runs through your warm blood every single time you get on the court is the same resurrection power that lifted our Lord and Savior. And I think that through this journey, you came through that realization and you realize that through the God inside of you, that there is nothing that is impossible, and it manifested itself. And you have been uncontainable upon that realization. And I am so elated and so proud of you. You have brought yourself all the way back right to the dream that you had. And you're right there. Keep going. The best is yet to come.
Uncontainable means that you can't be contained. You can't be, there are no limitations. There are no boundaries to what you can do. God has given you gifts and talents, and a character and a will that will bust open doors in all different parts of your life. And so take what you know God has deposited in you and take it into the world and let your light so shine that when people see you, they see him. God is not in any of our boxes. And when I think about the goodness of God and how he is and will do, as his word says, immeasurably more than we can even think to ask, according to the power that is already at work in us. That's uncontainable. That's uncontainable. Keep going. Keep striving. Keep pushing. Keep taking the first step, because God always will be there to take the next one and the next one. Continue to put your hand in his hand and recognize and understand that you truly are uncontainable. Love you. Love you to life. So proud of you.
We also. I love you guys too. And thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Thank you for indulging in the video. Please subscribe. And until next time on the Uncontainable podcast by Lou Hutchinson.